First, let's talk about neutral, and we'll start with our great low pokes. That's going to be 2A, which has a lot more range than you'd think, and 2B, which also is good range. If you hit either of these normals, you're just going to confirm into 5S. From 2A, obviously, you're going to go into B first, and from B, it's going to go straight into 5S. You want both hits to come out before you confirm after that, but we'll talk about that later in the combo section. Next, let's talk about our mid pokes. Very important to use these because they're better at catching jumps. 5B, once again, has more range than you think. These guns are actually pretty good. And our other one is going to be 5A, which has a little more range than 2A, but is 1 frame slower. If you get this, you just confirm the exact same way. You don't really want to use the second light. Not really worth it. So yeah, either way, just go straight into 5S. That's going to be very common for this character. Next, let's talk about anti-airs. We have 2H. It's more for callouts than reactions because it is very slow, but that's what our jumping normals are for. So we're mainly going to be using air to airs when people jump, or we're going to be using DP, which is another great anti-air. JA is really what you want to be looking for, and you confirm that into ABS, and then you're going to catch with 2B, and we'll talk about how to confirm that later. Our other jumping normals, speaking of which, we have JB, which is a nice landing button. Keep yourself plus. And JM, which is an air stall. It's also an overhead, and it's plus on block. It does everything. But most importantly, we have JS. Now, our JS is a grenade, and it can be used in a ton of different ways, both on block and on hit. One thing to know, though, beforehand is that you are more plus throwing it. The more you delay, like the closer to the ground that you throw it, or the farther away that you are. Just something to keep in mind, but this is very good in a ton of different scenarios. We can do it retreating and then retake the space. We can do it engaging and then take a turn. We can do it delayed and then take a turn. And these situations are even better on hit. If we do it over here, we do a delayed nade afterwards and we're able to lock them down. If that hits, we're able to confirm into 2B. If we do it aggressively, we can confirm into 2B. If we do it delayed, we can confirm into 2B. This is going to lead to our B&Bs. Once again, we'll go over in the combo section. And although nade is very, very good, don't be too hasty with it because it is very susceptible to roll as well as like run up DP. So you do need to be throwing in like empty hops if you're using it a lot, or landing JSs to stop them from rolling under you. Next, we're going to be talking about 236M. It's a long range projectile. Always do the follow-up on hit and don't do the follow-up if it's blocked. It only costs 20 more mana to do it, gives you substantial more damage. If you're not in Awakening, you're just going to take the Oki of delayed nade, run forward, throw a delayed nade, run and take a turn. If they get hit, convert into 2B. And with Awakening, we're actually going to be able to convert this into JM meterlessly. There's going to be a ton of damage. You can pretty much DOD from this hit. Unique to Troubleshooter, he has a way to give himself white health, and you can use this to convert. Keep yourself safe on whiff, or to make things stronger. Now, 6S is actually all right. You know, you're going to get yourself your delayed nade Oki afterwards, and on block, it doesn't really do much. But with white health, we can follow it up, convert into 2B on hit, and on block, we can make ourselves insanely plus and get a turn in for free. Next, let's talk about pressure. And given that this character is more about set play than pressure, don't expect anything too crazy. Our goal is not to guard break with this character. The goal is to turn any hit into a combo into our set play. So our safe block string, the one you're going to be using 90% of the time, is just going to be 2A, 2B, 5S both hits. Now you can leave delays between them to frame trap, but otherwise it's going to be a true string. If you do leave delays, note that you can get DP'd or they can roll out. If you are going to stagger, you pretty much only want to do it off of 2A, 5A, which is -3. I believe 2A is like -5 or 6, by the way. But yeah, 5A is like -3. And lastly, 5S both hits is only -5, and it's going to build a lot of space so you can play some mind games. Some of those mind games include throwing nade afterwards, which is rollable, but does keep you plus. You can also wait for them to roll after doing it. Take space, do whatever. You can also just like play for your nades, like neutral jump, throw a nade, follow it up afterwards. Now, another option you might want to consider is going from 5S to 4S. This is only -8 on block, and it's going to allow you to get right back in with 6S into conversion into strike throw mix-up. And finally, let's talk about JM. It's an overhead. It's plus on block. If you do get a block, by the way, you should just go into 2A, 2B and confirm if you hit. If not, whatever. You can opt to like play little mind games with throws, but you're not super plus, so don't get too greedy with it. And one other way to use JM is in situations of strike throw mix-up where your opponent likes to tech. Let's go back to that situation we saw earlier where I did grenade into strike throw. Let's say they like to tech, and we have identified that. we can actually use a rising JM to bait out this option. Boom, big counter, and this is going to be a ton of damage. One final note is you're probably wondering why I didn't say to do this in pressure, and that's because we're actually going to route our combos to end with that, so that way it's already placed when we're starting our pressure. And if you try to just do it raw, well, you might find out that it is very punishable. Every character in the game can punish you for doing this, so just generally don't do it in pressure. Next, let's talk about setup Sanoki. Our basic ender is going to be 2B into 214M, and you have to know how the net works. So it's going to activate on a set timer, and it's going to make you plus by the end of it. If they DP, they are going to fly up to the air and explode. You will literally be able to TOD them. And you can also make it activate early with 2A or JS or 6S, or you can actually do it into itself. And there is a reason to do this. We'll talk about it later. So now that we know the net works, let's go into a specific strike throw setup. You just hold 9, you can land and go for a low, or you can hold 9 again and then micro dash throw. Remember that in situations like this, you can also threaten that JM that we were talking about earlier, punish them for trying to take a throw, and you can also, or important to know is that after you do this, you can see the explosion happens after the 2A. You are still plus after this, so you can play another game where you either press this as the strike option, which will be a low and it will frame trap them, or you can go for a run-up throw. So you have two different situations. Note that throw does not give you Oki in this game, so it's not the strongest of options. There is one fatal flaw to the setup though, and that's why it's not your primary use. Because both options are going to lose to DP. The fortunate thing is that, as we said earlier, if they DP into this, they are going to get hit by the bomb as a counter hit on its own. You don't have to do anything, and you're going to TOD them. So that's their incentive not to do that. But we also have alternate setups that are completely fine against DP that still grant that same reward. So here's the safe jump setup. You're just going to do a dash into a delayed JS. You're going to block it, and they're going to get counter hit for going for it. Now you might be thinking, well, that's a little dripless. Why are we going for safe jumps? We're a set play character. Well, we actually get to play around the plus frames on our thing. Once again, we still have that double frame trap on 2P into 2P. We can also go for an empty low option. We can go for an empty strike option or an empty throw option. We can go for a throw after this. We can play for the JM again. Or if we have a conversion, we can actually do a little more, such as threaten a second overhead, which also converts. That will also combo if you do a low to the ground like that. So even if you got the first hit, you don't have to worry about it. It'll combo on its own. But yeah, if you have conversion, you can threaten some other overheads, both while you're still in the air and after you landed. Next, let's talk about playing reactive around your net. And you're just going to go into 4S and choose between meaty or chill. If you meaty, it will be everything besides DP or jump. They will be able to jump out, but your net's still going to be there, so that's fine. Another thing to think about is that your 2A is not actually going to touch the net, so your advantage is still going to be there. And ultimately, your goal is to bait them into something, into getting hit and comboed and resetting the situation, or to just take your turn once the net goes down. Like that. One cheesy thing you could do, if you're feeling up for it, is threaten an instant overhead with the conversion that you just got. I messed it up there. It is execution heavy. It can be safe to DPs, but I wouldn't rely on it. I will do in this next one, I promise. And you just convert into that. If it does hit, you'll combo. If not, well, I mean, they're just a better player, I guess. Next, let's talk about using 214M into 214M. And there are a couple of reasons why you would use this setup. Number one is because it leads to a big frame trap in between the things, and if they act, they get hit by the explosion. And you can see that we had the mashing there. And without it, we actually have the ability to combo off of our throw. Now this only works if you're not awakened. And in the case that you are, there's actually a different setup to use. Now you might find the awakened setup a little bit familiar. And that's because it is the exact strike throw setup that we saw earlier. Note that it is very tight. You do need to throw quickly and then also link into 2B very quickly, but it can be done. And once you get it down, it's not too bad. And finally, let's talk combos, those B&Bs that you're gonna have to know if you want to succeed with the character. So we're going to start with the most important link of all. And we talked earlier about going from button into 5S confirm. And now we have one more confirm off that. After the second hit, you throw out the 5M and you're supposed to micro dash into a rising JM. You do it twice. You end with your ender, the 2B into the 214M, and you can do this from any starter. You can do it from anywhere on screen. The only time this won't connect is if you're at too far range, in which you confirm into this, and then you do your delayed nade for Oki. Speaking of 236M, if you have conversion and you're in the corner, and this is if you're not awakened, you can actually cancel, convert into that, and you just do your B&B again. If you're in Awakening, you don't actually need conversion. Off any hit, you're guaranteed to microdash JM. If you have enough mana, you do it again. If not, you super early. Do it again, one more JM, and 2B into super. Now, 2B is your best link to super. It's just very, very consistent. You do have to be kind of close, but if you're including correct microdashes, you'll be fine. And this is going to do 674 damage, insane damage that you can do from full screen. Next, let's show that air to air where you're talking about a neutral. You just catch with 2B, and then guess what? You do the B&B. Let's say you catch the opponent with an 8. You catch with 2B, and you do the B&B. So originally, I was going to show some optimal stuff, but now that I think about it, it seems kind of silly because we're so early into the game. But I can show you some of these things, like the JM. It'll pop up on its own. You convert into 2B. Guess what? We're going into the B&B, and it's still going to be a lot of damage, just not going to, TOD. And finally, if they DP in your setup, you block it, you wait for the pop, and you do the B&B. And that'll be it for this guide. If you guys want to see another character guide, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know that this is the kind of content you want to see on this channel. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.